Hey guys, welcome back to another scooter video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a mini scooter. We're going to start out with the scooter deck, because actually there's only two things that you're going to need to cut down for a mini scooter, which is going to be first your bars, and then second the back end of your scooter deck. You're going to cut it into whatever length you're going to want to cut it down to. So today I'm cutting this down to 17 inches, so it's not necessarily a real mini scooter, but I thought I'd make a video on it because it kind of falls along the lines of a mini scooter. So what you're going to do first is you're going to grab your ruler and you're going to measure your deck and see where you want it. I've already created the lines just so I can know my reference of where I'm going, but I'm going to trace over them in a Sharpie so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So once I find my marks where I'm going to go, like I said, I'm doing 17.5, so 17.5 for me would be right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right angle and line it up just so I know where I'm going. And I'm going to make my marks. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pretty much take the whole back end and make it just move it forward. I actually made a video on this. It was how to cut down a scooter deck. I will be referencing that video multiple times in this video, so if you haven't already, make sure to go check out that video, because this video is very similar, but I thought I'd combine cutting down the bars and the scooter deck together in one video to make a mini scoot. But I'm going to go ahead and finish making my lines. Alright, now I have the entire deck traced, an idea of where I actually am going to be cutting this. So like I said before, I'm cutting exactly to 17 inches. So that also means I'm going to cut down the bars. So I will put the link in the description to my video on how to cut down bars and install a slit, which we will be doing in a second. So let's go ahead and go into my garage, and we'll go ahead and start cutting down the scooter deck. Alright, now that we're in my garage, and it is very dark, so I apologize for the lighting, but we're going to go ahead and start cutting down this scooter deck. So, like in my how to cut down a scooter deck video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up, and then just chop saw the line where it needs to be, and then do the angles, and then the middle, just like in my other video. So I'll make sure to have that link below so you can check that out. But let's get to this. Alright, now that we have the rest of the deck pretty much cut down, I'm going to file it up a little bit, clean it up, and then get out this middle chunk right here, and then we'll drill the holes, and then the deck's done. Alright, so the reason I like to make these holes right here is because it allows me to cut this line right here without leaving any extra points where there could form cracks. So by drilling holes right here, it also makes it easier to cut your lines to it and then file it out. Alright, so I usually like to use about 3 files. The first one is a round file. Next one is a flat file on both sides, and the other one is a flat and a half round file. These 3 files are going to be what you need to be able to file out all of this. I also like to use a little bit of sandpaper. So I'm going to put it back in the vise, and then we're going to sand it all down, and then I'm going to take it back outside, and we're going to put the mini scoot together after I cut the bars. Alright, so now that everything is filed down, all we're going to do next is just drill the axle holes, and then we're done with the deck. Alright, now that the deck is done, it's looking pretty good. Hopefully you can see that. All I have to do now is just cut down the bars, and then our mini scoot is done. Alright, now that the bar is cut down, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the edges around here so it slides over the HIC shim better. And then I'm going to cut a slit in these bars, and we're done. Alright, so as I talked about in my how to cut down a bar video, I'm going to take the clamp and I'm going to mark where it is on the bar so I know how high to make my slit. First I'm going to use my drill bits and drill a hole, and then I'm going to cut the slit. Alright, now that I have the hole drilled, I'm going to double check it's right at that slit, so that means I'm just going to be able to have that slit, the clamp sitting right there flush, and it's going to be just below, just perfectly. I don't like to go above the size of 1/4 for the hole, because any bigger it starts to take away too much material, but if you keep it right around, let's see, I'm going to 7/32 So I'll have that like in the description just so you guys have that number and you know what drill bit size to use. But that's the size I go with and I like to use, and that keeps the bars from stress cracking. I have all this information in my how to cut down bars video, so you can check that out. I'll have that also linked in below. But let's get to the slit. Alright, so we just finished up putting the slit in the bars, and it's wide enough to now where the clamp can clamp all the way like it needs to. So let's go ahead and put the mini scooter together. Alright, so I just cut down the scooter deck and the bars, which is pretty much all you need to do to make a mini scooter, because you're just bringing in the length of the scooter deck and then also the length of the bars, shrinking them down, which is what's going to create the mini scoot. So now it's just going to be building a scooter just like you normally would. I'm going to go ahead and clean off the top deck so I can grip tape it. Alright, so I like to make sure to grease everything before I put it together, just so it's a little bit easier to take apart and also nothing strips out. Alright, the brake is now on. Time to put the back wheel on. Again, back to the grease just to make sure nothing seizes up and it goes in smoothly. Alright, time for the headset and fork now. Alright, so you always gotta make sure to grease your headset cups. You don't want to make sure they go in evenly as well, or else they could creak and crack or break like prematurely. Oh, also, when you're putting these in, make sure it's kind of like an arrow. You got the arrows pointing down, make sure they're pointing in the right direction. They should be pointing towards each other. Alright, so I'd recommend using a rubber mallet to tap this in, but because I don't have one, I'm going to have to use a hammer, but that's alright. Right, we're now sitting flush and we're ready to put the forks in. Again, I like to make sure I put a little grease around this lower race just to make sure there's no crackling sounds or anything. And I like to do the same to the top. There we go. Now we are on the very last step, which is putting the clamp on the bars and then the bars on the forks. Alright, now the mini scoot is completely put together. It is good to go, and that is how to make a mini scoot. Again, I'll have all the videos about cutting down a scooter deck and scooter bars and grip taping a scooter and also Rapture down in the description, so you can check that out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.